What's up with it, y'all? On this video, we really about to get into it. We really about to cook today. Now, before we even get into the video, do one thing and hit my like button. Cause we about to get on Mark Breland. We about to talk about this whole Mark Breland and Deontay Wilder situation, and we gonna break it down just like it should be. Now hit the like button before I even get started with this video. So Mark Breland, he goes over to the UK and he does an interview, his first interview, since the Wilder fight, since Wilder and Fury fought a year ago. So he goes over to the UK and he sits down and he does an interview with Spencer Fearon and Tunde, right? Tunde is the trainer of Anthony Yard, right? So he go over there and he does his first sit down interview in the UK with those guys. And I'm like, okay, I want to hear what Mark Breland has to say about everything that's going on surrounding, the Tyson Fury and the Deontay Wilder, saga. And now that he's been fired by Deontay Wilder. Now, take note, Deontay Wilder has never really said too much about Mark Breland. He's never really, said anything about Mark Breland like that. He pretty much kept quiet behind the scenes. Whatever he said was behind the scenes. But, it was some allegations about, Mark Breland only being the only one to have, access to his water, So he said if anything was done to his water, Mark Breland was the only one that had access to it. Other than that, he never came out publicly and bashed Mark Breland or said anything about Mark Breland too much. So now let's go into Mark Breland. So Mark Breland, he sits down, he does this interview, and he goes all the way in on Wilder. He goes all the way in on Wilder. First of all, he says that Deontay Wilder, is very limited. He does not have a jab. He said that Wilder doesn't listen to nothing that, he tries to tell him to do. So he's saying that, Mark Breland is saying, like, I tell him to do this, and that. He doesn't listen to me. He doesn't do nothing I try to tell him to do. He also says that, all of the guys that Wilder has fought, he could beat those guys himself. He says Wilder ain't never fought nobody. He says, and then so, Spencer Fearon and Tunde, they go on and they say, well, he does have some pretty good wins on his resume. And Mark Breland stops him and he says, good wins? Or does he have one good win or one all right win, right? So at that point, you see where this is going, right? You know that this is a whole smear campaign on Deontay Wilder. But isn't Mark Breland the guy that all of y'all was talking about? Oh, Mark Breland is a good man and he's this and that, and Mark Breland would never do those things that you guys are speculating that he did. He's not even capable of doing those things. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and continue to get into it. Mark Breland also says that, Wilder, his career is over. After one loss, he says his career is over and he won't go on to do shit in his career. Well, once again, does that sound like a man that's not capable of doing anything bad? Because y'all tried to come out and paint a picture of Mark Breland of being just some just great guy that's not capable of doing any wrong or anything bad, right? But Mark Breland, he really showed his ass in this one, right? So Mark Breland, right? You shit on Deontay Wilder's career. You shit on his career. You said he had never fought anybody. You also said that they were carrying him, that you felt that they were basically babying him. Like, they was carrying him along way too carefully. They wouldn't put him, his matchmaking. They wasn't putting him in the ring with nobody, right? He ain't never beat nobody, right? So you shit on his career. And it's funny because the whole time you were his trainer. You've been with him throughout his whole career, throughout the Olympics and whatnot, right? You've been with him throughout his whole career, you said. This is what you said, right? So if you felt this way and he wasn't listening to you, why did you continue to train the man, right? If he ain't never fought nobody, and you said yourself that you were able to beat everybody that he's been in the ring with. You said you'll beat all them dudes, right? So let's go ahead and take a pause for a second and let's look into your career, right? Because you were a great Olympian, right? But let's look into your professional career. Were you that great as a professional? Mark Breland, were you that great as a professional? Let's go ahead and look into it. So you won a vacant WBA title against a white South African guy that only fought in South Africa, and he had 4 losses, right? That was your first title that you won. You won a vacant title against a white South African fighter that only had fought in South Africa, and he already had 4 losses, right? That was your first title, right? You went on. This is your professional career, Mark Breland, since you acting like you were so special, right? And you were so much better than Deontay Wilder, and you could have beat everybody, all of the fighters that was put in the ring with Wilder, right? You being as small as you were, right? You could have beat all of them, right? So after you won your title, you did make 1 successful title defense. And then you went on to get KO'd by Marlon Sterling in your second title defense, right? So your first title run, you got KO'd in your second title defense. This is public. This is not stuff that I'm making up, right? Mr. Mark Breland. Now, you ended up, right? You did end up getting that title back, right? Winning another vacant WBA title. It was vacant again, and you ended up winning it again once it was vacant, right? You had 4 title defenses, and then you got knocked out again, right? Now, Deontay Wilder, he had 10 title defenses. He had the belt for over 5 years. Compare the two, right? Let's compare the two. And you also said, right, you said that he didn't fight anybody. His career was moved very carefully and whatnot, right? You saying that you could have beat everybody that he fought. So let's go ahead and dig into that. Let's look into that, Mark Breland. In your 16th fight, right, you fought a guy that had 29 wins and 11 losses. Now we're going to break it down, since you said that Deontay Wilder ain't never fought nobody and he had 1 okay win in his whole career. Right? So in your 16th fight, you fought somebody that had 29 wins and 11 losses. Right? In your 24th fight, you fought somebody that had 16 wins and 15 losses. This is a fact. Y'all don't believe me? Go check it out yourself. And I know Mark Breland's whole professional career because I followed his whole professional career. See, my pops was a big fan of Mark Breland. Thought he was going to be special when he turned pro. But it didn't turn out like that in the professional ranks. Right? So, once again, in your 25th fight, you fought a man that had 25 fights, right? In your 25th fight, you fought a man that had 14 wins and 7 losses. But you over here talking about who Deontay Wilder fought. Now, right? You ended up getting knocked out by Aaron Davis, right? To lose your title. You ended up getting knocked out by Aaron Davis, right? Then you came back and you fought a dude that was 0-17, and that was in your 32nd fight. So you talking about who Deontay Wilder ain't fought and who he ain't never beat and, shitting on his career. But why were you fighting a man that was 0-17 in your 32nd fight, right? Then you lost to Jorge Vaca, right? And Jorge Vaca, when you lost to him, he already had 9 losses on his record, right? So you're talking about Deontay Wilder and who he ain't fought, right? And who he never beat. Really? Who did you ever fight and who you ever beat? Because you ended your career with 35 wins and 3 losses. Every loss you had was by knockout. You got knocked out 3 times in your career, right? But Deontay Wilder, he loses 1 time. He didn't even get knocked out. You threw in the towel on him when he told you not to. He went out fighting on his shield, right? He went out on his shield fighting. You didn't go out like that. You lost 3 times, all to knockout, right? But now that he lost 1 time because you threw in the towel, you gonna tell him that his career is over? It's over for him? So let's go ahead and, continue to look at some of the things that you say. So you also went on to say that Deontay Wilder, he doesn't hit the heavy bag and he doesn't jump rope. That's what you said, right? Well, let's go ahead and look into that. Because right here, here's a picture of Deontay Wilder hitting the heavy bag. Isn't that Deontay Wilder right here hitting the heavy bag? But you said he doesn't hit the heavy bag. You said Deontay Wilder never hits the heavy bag. But I'm showing y'all a picture right here of Deontay Wilder hitting the heavy bag. Now, this Mark Breland that claimed that Deontay Wilder never hit the heavy bag is the same guy that y'all are defending, saying that, he could have never done these things that Wilder is saying. He could have never done these things. Breland is the perfect human being. It's not even possible that he could have done these things, right? Well, I just showed you that it's possible that he's telling the lie. He already told a lie. That's one lie, right? Then he goes on to say that Deontay Wilder doesn't jump rope. Well, here's a picture right here of Deontay Wilder jump roping, right? Deontay Wilder is jump roping. That's him. That's him jump roping. But this same man that y'all said that Mark Breland is not capable of anything bad is right here lying again, because this is Deontay Wilder jump roping, right? Matter of fact, I got something better for y'all. Here's a YouTube channel, right? YouTube channel right here. You can go and look it up yourself. You can see it on the screen. A YouTube, creator. He made a whole video, and the video's titled "Jump Rope Like Deontay Wilder." Now, how would this man be able to make a whole video that says "Jump Rope Like Deontay Wilder" if Deontay Wilder never jump ropes? Once again, Mark Breland found telling another lie. Shitting on Deontay Wilder for no reason, telling another lie. But this is who y'all want to defend? And see, it's funny because if you go back to one of my videos a long time ago, and this is after the first Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight, and a lot of people disagree with me. I said Deontay Wilder needs to get rid of Mark Breland. This is after the first Fury fight. I said because I listened to Mark Breland talk about Deontay Wilder, right? And they was asking Mark Breland, don't you think that Wilder won the fight? Because a lot of people felt that, with him winning the first 3 rounds and, getting those 2 knockdowns, that was enough for him to win the fight. He should have won the fight, And they was asking Mark Breland, his trainer at the time, about how he felt about that. And he was like, I don't know, it's really don't even, I really don't have nothing to say about it. Like, he just doesn't listen. He didn't do what I wanted him to do. And like, he didn't say nothing positive about Wilder. He didn't say like, well, it was a close fight, but I'm looking forward to the rematch. Like, his whole energy was just off. And I seen that. And I talked about it, and I said, he needs to get rid of Mark Breland because Mark Breland ain't for him, and I was adamant on that. And a lot of people disagreed with me on that, but I seen it way back then, right? So let's go ahead and continue on, this whole Mark Breland thing, right? So with everything that I've said, right, y'all were saying that he wasn't capable of doing any of these things. Now, let me break it down to you like this. You shitting on Deontay Wilder, saying that he ain't this and he ain't that. All he has is power, right? He don't have no jab. You saying he don't hit the heavy bag. He don't jump rope. He don't hit the speed bag. He does none of these things, right? You said that he doesn't listen to none of the things that you try to tell him to do, right? But you've been training him for his whole career. So I asked myself, why would you continue to train a man that you think so negatively about? Everything that you had to say about him was negative, but you continue to train him. And that just didn't make no sense to me. It's only 2 reasons that you would continue to train him, right? One is for the money, right? One is for the money, right? If he doesn't listen, he doesn't do none of these things. One is that it's because you just like, fuck it, I'm making a paycheck and I'll train anybody for a paycheck. I don't care about the dude, but I'll train him for a paycheck, right? And that further proves that you will do anything for a paycheck, right? If that's the case, you saying all these, see, you are making it easy. You making it easy, right? Because your true colors will come out. You making it easy, right? So it's like, okay, well, I don't really give a fuck about this dude, but I will train him for a paycheck. Straight up. I train him for a paycheck. I don't really care about him. You know what I'm saying? But I'm getting paid. So that's one reason you'll do anything for a paycheck, which makes it, right, even more believable now that you did do something to sabotage the fight with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, right? It's easy for me to believe now that somebody could, from the Tyson Fury camp could come over, pull you to the side. Look, we gonna pay you this amount and just do this, because you'll do anything for a paycheck. Obviously, you've been training the man for his whole career that you just said yourself that, you think all this negative stuff about, and he don't do none of these things, right? Why would you keep training a man that don't do none of these things that you saying, right? Also, the second reason, right? Your second reason is that you just telling a bold-faced lie, right? Your second reason is you telling the bold-faced lie, right? And I actually proved a lot of the stuff that you saying was a lie, right? Right? The footage don't lie. Because you said he didn't jump rope. You said he didn't hit no heavy bag. I just proved that was wrong, right? So the second reason is you just over here with these goofy ass dudes, right? Telling a lie, right? So which one is it? And that also proves that you are capable of doing these things, right? Because you already lying. You already over there with these dudes in the UK. And that's another thing. You over here doing an interview in the UK, right? But Tyson Fury is from the UK. Tyson Fury fought Deontay Wilder. So why are you over there doing an interview with some dudes from the UK? But you from the US, right? Another thing, right, is Tyson Fury, when he fought Wilder in the second fight, he was training, right? He was training in the Crunk gym. He was training in the Crunk gym. And you know why that is, you know why I said that? Because Mark Breland, right? Mark Breland came up in the Crunk gym. That's interesting. Mark, like I said one more time, Mark Breland came up in the Crunk gym. Tyson Fury had his whole training camp in the Crunk gym in the second Wilder fight. So are you telling me with all of this evidence that I'm giving y'all still gonna sit up here and say that Mark Breland is not that type of guy? He's not even capable of doing these things? That's a motherfucking lie. Mark Breland showed his ass and he showed his true colors, right? He showed his ass and he showed his true colors. You know, like I said a long time ago, my whole thoughts about Mark Breland, I was never feeling him. His energy was just off. Go back and look at some of the times that he did interviews and he talked about Deontay Wilder. You could tell he ain't really give a fuck about Wilder. You know what I'm saying? And all of it is coming full circle now. And I'm talking facts. I'm talking facts. You know, y'all can say what you want, but these are facts that I'm talking about. Also, you know, they went on to ask you about a third fight with Tyson Fury. Would you like to see a third fight, you know, between Wilder and Tyson Fury? And you said straight up, it doesn't matter what happens. He can't beat Tyson Fury. I don't really care. I don't care about the man. So you saying that you don't care about the man and you don't care if he get a third fight or not, right? You don't care about the man. So, but you was with this man his whole career, and all of a sudden, you don't care about the man. You was around the man family and you don't care about the man. So that just shows that you never gave a fuck about him in the first place. And then you got these two goofy dudes on here, you know, Spencer Fearon and Tunde, right? Every time you say some shit about Wilder, you know, we don't care about Wilder neither. We don't care about Wilder neither. Nobody cares about Wilder. You sitting over here doing an interview with these two fucking clowns, and you know, they just laughing every time you shit on Wilder. They just think it's the funniest thing in the world. We don't care about Wilder. Nobody cares about Wilder. We don't care about Wilder neither. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the whole shit was just, the whole interview was, you know, it was disgusting, for real. The whole interview was, but at the same time, it showed your true colors, right? It showed your true colors. So, I know what it is. Like I said, I know what it is. I felt it from way back when he fought the first fight with Tyson Fury and nobody was saying nothing. And I was the only one that was saying something about, I wasn't feeling Mark Breland. You know what I'm saying? It didn't have nothing to do with him, his training method, or none of that. It had something to do with him. I didn't like his energy, and I talked about it once again. And one more thing, Mark Breland. Right? You said you went on to talk about Floyd Mayweather, and you talked about how Floyd Mayweather handpicked every opponent his whole career, and you said that if you had handpicked, right, every opponent like Floyd Mayweather did, you would have been undefeated also, right? You said you also would have been undefeated, right? And that's funny that you say that, because I just went over your whole career and you was fighting guys that was 0-17. You was losing to guys that had several losses, 9 losses on their record already. And you talking about like you was just this fucking great professional fighter. Like I said, you were a very great amateur, but your professional career wasn't like that. And you more proving something that Wilder said. Wilder said that you were very jealous of him in his career. Now, when I heard you talking about Floyd Mayweather, that jealousy came out, right? Because I never seen Floyd Mayweather come close to losing to nobody that had 9 losses on their record. We never saw Floyd Mayweather in the ring after getting knocked out and then coming back and fighting the guy that was 0-17, right? In his 30-second fight. You saying if you could have done what Floyd Mayweather did, handpicking all of his opponents, right? That you would have been undefeated just like he is. But you fought a guy that was 0-17 in your 30-second fight. So did they handpick him for you? You know what I'm saying? And you got knocked out 3 times by fighters that nobody know who they are right now. Those guys that you got knocked out by, you can walk down, right, any street for a whole day and nobody, and you ask everybody you come across, and nobody would know who those fighters are. But you got knocked out by them. And you talking about you gonna try to shit on Floyd Mayweather's career and downplay like he was just some ordinary fighter that just got to handpick all of his opponents, right? See, Mark Breland showed his true colors. So this is what I want to say to everybody that was acting like Mark Breland was just a great guy, and just because you don't really know him personally, was just a great guy. He wasn't capable of none of these things. Don't ever crown a man and give a man all these, just like he's perfect if you don't know him, and say, oh, he's not capable, because 99% of y'all that was saying that he's not capable of none of these things, y'all never met Mark Breland a day in your life, right? The whole thing is y'all were just going against Wilder, right? You just going with the flow because you didn't like Wilder. Now, it's funny because now everybody want to take up for Mark Breland, but who was talking about how great a man Mark Breland was before any of this stuff happened, right? Now everybody's the biggest Mark Breland fan just because he don't like Wilder no more, or him and Wilder having their differences. Now all of y'all all of a sudden the biggest Mark Breland fan, but before none of y'all gave a fuck about Mark Breland. And that's just the real truth. Anyway, y'all go ahead and make sure that you like the video, and hop in the comment section and let me know how y'all feel about this. But at the end of the day, these is facts. So you can say what you want to say, and I'm gonna say what I want to say, and we can either agree or disagree. But I appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in, and I'm out.